Welcome to thefoundation.com. I am Sot L, seeker of truth L, speaker of truth L. Today's episode is the things we don't know. Hopefully, I am able to inform you really quick of, some things that have been before your eyes the entire time, the majority of your life, and it wasn't actually recognized. The things we don't see. Once again, my name is Sot L. That is Seeker of Truth L, Speaker of Truth L. I appreciate you checking out the show. You are absolutely luxurious. You're 100% luxurious. Don't laugh. I try to use PowerPoint. I'm just working for y'all. I'm working for y'all. So, sit back, relax, grab a little soda or something, because I'm going to break this down. It shouldn't take too long, but it's going to be well worth it. So let's jump into this. I'm just going to jump into it, right? So as I do that, look, the foundation, the things, it's the thing or the things, honestly, it can be plural, it can be singular. I feel like, I'm going to leave it as the thing we cannot see. Let me leave it as that. We're going to go with that. Absolutely. So what's going on here is really we're going to discuss what exactly is happening, why we feel as though we just can't get ahead. How is it that we feel so powerless with our cars, with our homes, with our property, with our wealth, with the money that we make? And hopefully I'm able to, really put something in this concept really into perspective as far as, we are concerned. So I want to jump into this, right? The thing we cannot see. And what I'm talking about is we can't really see how the way that we do business, the way that we view transactions, purchasing things. And, I say do business and people turn off, right? People, well, I don't have a business, so I don't. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. When you purchase things, you sell things, you're doing business. When you pay a bill, when you pay your power bill, when you pay your phone bill, that's business. I don't care if it's, not normal to think that way, but it is. It's actually factually true. And, maybe it's detrimental that we don't look at things like this in the way that it's supposed to be looked at, right? So I'm not going to get into anything too controversial today, but I am going to try to break down this concept, right? So first, let me say what you can't see. Maybe I should say why, right? But ultimately, let me just say what you can't see, right? So we have a state. The state. Follow, just stay with me. Trust me. You have the state. It can be any state. And I'm talking to my U.S. people. If you're in Canada, pretty much any country that is party to the Hague Convention on the recognition of trust, you can look it up, right? This is going to be the same. Excuse me if it's not centered, man. I don't really do the PowerPoint dance. I'm doing this for y'all, man. But I was like, how can I visualize? How can I visually represent what I'm trying to say? Because I think it'll be better, right? So you have the state. And the state is, legally law with the capital S. And this is legal definition, so law definitions. Look at Black's Law Dictionary. Capital S is the prosecuting body of persons accused of wrongdoing in that state. So it's a body of persons, right? In politics, so in law, this is what it is. In politics, with the lowercase s, the area geographically within defined territorial boundaries, with a set of political institutions and rules by government through conformance laws. Okay? So, right. So we're talking about the capital S, right? We are. I'm just didn't tell you. And a state, when you look at a person, right? Because it said a prosecuting body of persons. And, I always used to wonder, like, what is persons? We say people. Why do these keep people? What I keep hearing persons? And I didn't understand until, you know, honestly, I took a business law class in college. It's crazy. And then I started to understand this stuff. And this was a long time ago, before I came into the trust information. This was long time ago. A body of persons or an entity as a corporation considered as having many of the rights and responsibility of natural person, and especially the capacity to sue and be sued. All right, so you have the state. Just follow me, right? And the state makes or creates statutory laws, right? I'm going to show you this. Hopefully this pops your head wide open. Just blow. And you just completely grasp what I'm trying to say. Because I feel like this is an important concept that needs to be comprehended. But, who knows? I could be crazy. I could be absolutely insane. So the state makes statutory laws, right? Statutory laws are what's governed, the state laws. If you get pulled over or, state charges, whatever. They can be civil and they can be criminal according to them, right? But the state creates statutory laws. The state also has the Secretary of State, right? And the Secretary of State is where corporations, LLCs, partnerships, limited partnerships, sole proprietorships, so on and so forth, right? This is where these things are organized or registered, right? And that organization at the state level, right there, because it's the Secretary of State allowing you to organize these structures. These structures fall under statutory laws, hands down. I hope you understand that. So we have law schools, right? But law schools are state schools. These are schools that, fall under the law of the states that they're in. And, these are colleges, right? Of course, but they're state colleges. And these state colleges that are under state statutory law are what produce attorneys and lawyers and paralegals. And actually, if you look at the law, even if you organize an LLC, for example, and I'm not giving legal advice. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a lawyer. I can't do that dance. I never would do that dance because, why would I? But I do know this. But you don't believe me because I'm crazy. I'm probably lying. I'm lying, actually. I'm lying. I lie all the time. I'm a liar. But that's not true. But is it? But I'm not giving legal advice. Anytime you hear me giving legal advice, I'm lying. You'll probably never hear me giving legal advice, though. Ultimately, what I'm trying to say. But if you look at the law with regard to state limited liability companies or corporations, the organizer cannot represent the LLC. Let's say the LLC is sued by a customer. The customer brings a court action and an action against the LLC. It is required by state law that there must be an attorney hired to represent the LLC. Remember that these attorneys have state bar cards, and I hope you see what I'm getting at. Please, because this right here, in my opinion, is a little bubble. It's a reduced, little, mangy, little, ugly little bubble. And due to this bubble, this state, and within this state, these corporations, LLCs, partnerships, sole proprietorships, even the individual, but as I said, we'll walk away from that for now. Everything controlled by the state, created by the state, taxed by the state, is governed by the state. And this is something that in my opinion, needs to be understood. This is part of the foundation. This is part of, our educational work here to reestablish the fundamental education of being able to do business properly in the public realm from a position of privacy. And in order to do that, I feel like this needs to be comprehended. If this isn't comprehended, then, I don't understand why I can't get ahead. Why am I paying all these taxes? I started a business, and then, I got to pay myself salary. It's double taxation. It's just, it seems like it's not working. How are these wealthy people? How are these people who have money and are growing their wealth? How are they doing this? It's because they understand that this right here is a very restrictive state, or I would like to say jurisdiction. And there are others. There's a more powerful, more luxurious jurisdiction that this state must recognize and actually can't say anything. It can't say anything. And it allows for legal wealth accumulation that cannot happen with any state structure. I'm sure there are definitely state structures that are being utilized, but behind these state structures, what owns these state structures that the wealthy are in control of or benefit from, I promise you, is not public. It is a private structure. And as long as we're in this state, this little baby bubble, and we never allow our minds to see beyond this little statutory law enforced state bubble with regards to business, because business is international. And as soon as I say that, you understand, hopefully you understand kind of what I'm getting at if you don't fully follow me already. Business is international. You got stuff that was made in China, Bangladesh, Turkey. You have stuff that was made all over this earth that are, in your possession, within your home or in your car. Your car is probably from Germany or Japan or Korea. It's probably one of those three. So when I talk about business, we can buy these international products, right? But really, what structure is buying these products? Huh? That's the question. Is it a state structure? And like I said, anyone who wants to argue with me about the birth certificate or the individual, there's a state seal on the birth certificate, just like there's a state seal on articles of organization, articles of incorporation, anything that's, registered at the state. It's a state seal. This is a little small bubble area to not only exist in, to only be, involved in, but also to only do business from. And there are different options. But this needs to be understood. Attorneys They have state bar cards. These law schools, they are state colleges. The Secretary of State allows the organization of all these state structures. State statutory law governs all of this. And it's the state that creates they have a house, and every state has a house in the Senate and a governor. So if, the organizing documents, the original document, instruments, what have you, have a state seal on them, ooh, that's a restriction. That's you cannot quantify the restrictions, the public, the financial, the business restrictions without getting outside the bubble. You need to go somewhere else and then come back and you be like, wow. Then you can determine whether or not where you were is where you want to be or where you want to stay. Please look at this, screenshot this, steal it and give it to people. Steal it, put your name on. I don't care, man. I really don't care. Steal it. I'm sorry, this was just me, banging some PowerPoint real quick. But this is very important to understand. And it's very important to understand that these structures on here on the right, the Secretary of State, corporations, LLCs, partnerships, limited partnerships, sole proprietorships, these structures are not the only structures. They're not the only structures. And I'm going to show you and tell you about a private contract. It's known as a business trust. Give me 1 second. So what we have here is the Internal Revenue Service website. I like to straight up, this is what I like to do the dance with straight up the original, what we consider the original source. If you're talking about taxes, if you're talking about, Internal Revenue Code, this is the place. And I want to read this to you, but I want to point something out to you. And hopefully this kind of gets you on your path, if you're not already, to kind of looking at things twice. I'd recommend it, right? So, and just slow down, y'all. I had to do it. When beginning a business, you must decide what form of business entity you establish. Your form of business determines which income tax return form you have to file. The most common forms, and let me stop right there. The most common forms does not mean that these are all the forms. And this is where people get it up, mixed up. Because sometimes it's hard to, be able to really pick out how this language is being framed and presented. But I'm just gonna point out the most common forms of business. If I was like, hey man, the most common forms of gold are bars. You're like, what other forms are they? Right? I'm sure you would say that. The most common forms of chicken are, and start naming some off. You'd be like, okay, so what are the other forms of chicken? The most common forms of wealth are, I would say, what are these up? Are there any? What are the other forms? But I notice, and I used to do the same thing when it comes from what I see as a government source or whatever. I don't really ask questions, but we should still ask questions. No, I don't feel like anything or anyone should kind of punk me out of asking questions, right? So the most common forms of business are the sole proprietorship, partnership, corporation, and S corporation. A limited liability company is a business structure allowed by state statute. Legal and tax considerations enter into selecting a business structure, and that's 100% true. Legal and tax considerations enter into selecting a business structure. Absolutely, 100%, right? So, look, let's just get to it, right? Because they didn't say anything about trust. You saw that, right? But let me go back. You see anything about trust on here? I don't. I see a bunch of blankness. I mean, you can check this. You can check it out in Chinese. Looks like what does that look like? This is like traditional right here. What is that, Korean? I don't know what that is. What is that, Vietnam? English, Espanol? I don't see anything about trust on here though, right? But if you look, they know what it is. In general, a trust is a relationship in which one person holds title to property subject to an obligation to keep or use the property for the benefit of another. Yep. It's interesting how they worded that. But, okay. A trust is formed under state law. Hold on. You may wish to consult the law of the state in which the organization is organized. Okay. All right. Note that for trust to qualify under section blah, blah, blah. We don't care, right? A trust is formed under state law. Well, you know what? I'm going to have to say that's true. And one would say what? Well, this is the Constitution. What is this? Constitution.congress.gov. I like to use official sources so people can't say, hey, man, that's not an official source. That's not a primary source. That's a secondary source. Article 1, Section 10. Powers denied by the states. Right? No state shall. Okay, we're talking states. States. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin, tender in payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law or law impairing the obligation of contract. Oh, I like that one. Or grant any title of nobility. So it can't, no state shall pass any law impairing the obligation of contracts. So I would say to you that, okay, listen, if they're saying a trust is formed under state law, cool. Because we know that this is contract, right? Contracts. And that's what a lot of people are missing. A lot of people are missing that, right? Oh, the IRS.gov has a trust primer. The trust instrument can be a pretty powerful piece of paper. Oh, is that so, IRS? The trust form, here we go, has always been considered. Did you hear that? Ooh, form. They were saying that over here, right? A legal tax consideration introduced selecting the business structure. Ooh, most common forms. Let's get back to it. The trust form has always been considered as one of the foremost developments in the common law because of its flexibility. This flexibility allows the trust instrument to serve a number of tax planning purposes. While with a little planning, a trust can create a current charitable tax deduction. What? Avoid capital gains tax on the sale of appreciated assets. What? And significantly lower estate tax. For this reason, trusts are a common estate planning tool. Oh, so it's not a business, it's an estate planning tool. What about business trust? That's something for another episode. But let's jump down here because, blah, 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 right? It says, the essentials of a trust terms are, and okay, cool. And they're right. Tax law concepts, right? IRS recognizes 3 different types of trust. Simple trust, complex trust, and grantor trust. I'm going to tell you right now, state trusts, any state trust that you get from a lawyer is going to be a grantor trust. I'm serious. Grantor trusts are what is known as revocable. If the grantor retains the ability to revoke the trust, assets in a revocable trust are included in the grantor's gross estate for federal state tax. That means assets in the trust are not protected. That means any litigation or taxation that grantor's trust is considered a disregarded entity, and they will pierce the veil of that trust and acquire the assets. There's no asset protection to those trusts. The only benefit is, it protects from probate, but, state statutes can change that at any time. We have simple trust. Must distribute all of its income currently. Generally, it cannot accumulate income, distribute out of the corpus, or pay money for charitable purpose. If a trust distributes corpus during a year, as in the year it terminates, the trust becomes a complex trust for that year. What is a complex trust then? A complex trust is a trust that does not meet requirements of the simple trust. A complex trust may accumulate income, distribute amounts other than current income, and make deductible payments for charitable purposes under Section 642 of the Code. So, I will say that these are actually contracts. True. They only fall under trust law on how the income is dispersed and how it's taxed. In every other situation, it is a contract. And if no state can pass any law impairing the obligation of contract according to the Constitution, which every state is party to, maybe that's why the trust instrument can be a pretty powerful piece of paper, according to the Internal Revenue Service. And of course, they're only talking about estate planning. I suggest maybe just doing. I'll do it. I'll do it right now. Because why not? So, definition of trust, business trust. I'm looking for the Internal Revenue Service. Trust fund taxes. What do they say? Does they say anything about a business trust at the IRS? Well, this is a law firm. Kaiser Law Firm, impacting lives since 1990. Seems legit. They're talking about a business trust. 101. And remember, these guys go to state schools, state colleges. So that, hey, I don't know. Give them a call. I'm not endorsing them in any way. I just picked them on a search in the internet, man. Trusts are usually associated with estate planning, but trust can also apply to business operations. As a small business owner, you can hold the business in a trust instead of using a business entity such as a limited liability company or corporation. Business trusts offer several potential benefits and drawbacks compared to traditional business structure. Understanding the pros and cons, blah, 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 blah. Complex trust, simple trust. See, these guys know what they're talking about. Pros and cons. Ongoing costs of maintaining trust, challenging legal regulations, fiduciary responsibility, relationship. I don't know. I'm sure these guys probably offer their services for, the administration of a trust. I doubt that it's going to operate outside the jurisdiction of any state. But I just wanted to show you guys that real quick. So you have Article 1, Section 10 of the U.S. Constitution. You have the Internal Revenue Service definition of a trust. You have the Internal Revenue Service speaking on different business structures, right? And they even say limited liability company is an LLC business structure allowed by state statute. So the states authorized that, and the IRS was like, all right. But all of these organizations are organized or registered at the state level. And that right there, that is what I wanted to say with regards to, private contract, trust administration. And ultimately the thing we cannot see. Oh, I cannot see either. Can you see? I cannot see. Oh, there we go. Can you see now? I couldn't see. I apologize for that. I'm gonna leave that in there too. I'm not gonna cut that out. And being able to comprehend that this isn't where we want to be. Ultimately, there are benefits, but ultimately more detriments than benefits, especially if no state can pass any law impairing the obligation of contract. If we understand that a trust is a contract, ultimately, per the definition of the Internal Revenue Service, that's why I used them, then we're understanding something very significant. I think this is something that eludes a lot of people, and of course it's really due to the fact that it's not specifically taught in schools. But I think that it's important to know it's what I consider private education. We have public education, and most of us felt once we were finished with public education, then that was it. We were done. That's all we had to learn, and we're finished learning. And that's really too bad, because ultimately the public is only going to teach in its interest. And now hopefully you understand that the state is a person or a body of persons. It has its own interest. It has its own jurisdiction. It takes taxes. It has its own income. It has its employees. It's a business. The state is a business. Please just look at it like that just for a second. And you will see that, hopefully, that they're only going to create structures that benefit the state more than any other party to the contract. Does that make sense? Why would they not? I don't think it's evil or anything of that nature. I just think it's, I guess, unnaturally natural for, a state structure to do such a thing. But I trust that, kind of shed some light on the things we don't know, or the thing we don't know. And that thing is, it's like a bubble. It's like a little bubble that we don't know we're in with regards to business. And I know people have started businesses and they felt like they failed, or, I know that maybe you started a business and you didn't get any tax benefits. Maybe you ended up paying more taxes. It's because there's things that we don't know. And you got to understand that the CPA, please listen to this. The CPA, the tax preparer, H&R Block, TurboTax, they cannot give legal advice, it's ridiculous. Your accountant can't give you legal advice. They can't tell you anything about how you should structure your business, because that's considered giving legal advice. That's why I always say I'm not an attorney. I can't give legal advice. There's no way I can give legal advice. I'm not qualified to. But I comprehend this little bubble enough to be able to explain. They'll tell you, you can even go to the courthouse and talk to the clerk at the courthouse, and she'll say, I can't give you legal advice. They'll say you have to talk to an attorney. And the attorney got their bar card from the state. I don't see how that's not a conflict of interest. There's things that you need to know. There's laws that you don't know. There's code that you don't know. And if you don't know that you have a claim, you can't make the claim. Do you understand what I'm saying? If they come to you and they say, hey, this is a trust, blah, 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 and you got to pay the da-da-da with the, what am I saying? This is a state statutory trust, and you have to file a state return on this trust, which was like the main thing people, get spooked on. And then they're like, oh, this isn't trust income. It's actually the individual income, and you didn't pay taxes. You didn't file a return. So it's interest, penalties, fees, and you're going to federal prison or something. Like, people are freaked out. But when it comes to trust administration, that's why trustee training, we teach you point by point, step by step, concept by concept, all the way through it. And then if you can do it again, you can do it again, you can do it again, you can do it again. The trainings over and over again. Until you're just like, okay, I got it. And then you start doing it, and then you see like, oh, wow, he was right. He was talking about this little bubble. And I kind of heard what he was saying, but I didn't completely comprehend what he was saying. But now I get what he was saying. Because I walked in the bank with this paperwork that I printed off on my printer and the EIN that I got from the IRS on the website that I printed off of my printer. And I walked into the bank and walked out and had a trust account, a trust checking account. And it wasn't organized at the state. And it's not registered at the state. And it's not governed by state statute. And it's not governed by, any of these codes. It's governed by the indenture, the actual contract itself, which gives broad powers to the administration. Broad powers. Very, very powerful structure. That's why they're not telling you about it. There's no benefit to the state if you know private trust administration. Do you understand what I'm saying? There is no benefit to the state if you and your family know how to administer a private contract in business. That's why I said at the beginning, it's business if you're buying and selling. If you're buying and selling, it's business. It's business. Well, it's a consumer transaction. Okay. It's business to who you bought it from. There's no benefit. The only benefit is like sales tax and use tax. Like if you buy something, if the trust purchases something in the state jurisdiction, there's a tax to purchase, like sale and use. Income tax. And I can't give legal advice, but what? It's not organized with the state. It's not registered with the state. Wow. What? Let's talk about that. Because how much time do your attorneys have? Because I have plenty of time to sit here and go back and forth with these attorneys with regards to what this trust indenture says versus what these statutes say. And of course, we can bring in a certified copy of the United States Constitution, Article 1, Section 10. Because it appears as though what you, sir or ma'am, or I'm sorry, no, not to assume. It seems and it appears as though these laws that you're attempting to enforce against this structure impair against the obligation of this contract. With the things we don't know. I appreciate y'all for checking out the show. Y'all are absolutely luxurious. You know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying, right? Do you? Business structures. Let's get with it. Please sign up for the email list. Throw your email in there. If you're interested, we have the private, the private side. We call it the private side of the foundation. Membership area. It's a luxurious dance back there. Invite only. Email me. admin@welcometothefoundation.com. If you're interested in learning trust administration, if that made sense, link in the description. It's actually very affordable. I've never seen anything like this. For what you're getting, this is amazing. And anyone in it will tell you, but hey, it's private. It's private. But you'll see. If you want to start a business, which is, it makes more sense when you know how to administer private trusts. I need to raise that price. I keep saying it. I keep forgetting. $20. Link in the description. And then you be like, oh, it's $19.99. I don't know, man. Woman, lady, sir, gentlemen, listen, friends, family. This is an accident. I want to tell you this is an accident. I am very busy. I have a lot going on. I run multiple companies and the foundation, which is a charity. Every time I look at this, I have to redo it. And I always forget. So I'm saying this is an extensive course with regards to how to start a business. I went to school. I double majored in international business and sales and marketing. I brought a brand international. I really did. It was an amazing thing. I had my first business when I was 18. First business plan when I was 18. This is something that I comprehend this stuff, and this is part of the way that I got to this trust information. So it's not some stuff that I just threw together and was like, I really went through this and was like, okay, so let me try to remember, my international business class or whatever. But this is not a joke. The price is a joke because that was not supposed. There's a digit missing, and but link in the description. If you grab it, you grab it. Otherwise, I'm changing that today. I'm gonna change that today. The Foundation magazine, it's so luxurious. I really like it, man. Just down to the smell of the physical magazine. I haven't been. I used to check out magazines when I was in the cars. I would get car magazines when I was into I was into computers and stuff. I would get, but now with the internet, you don't need to do that anymore. But this isn't available. There's no alternative source to get what's inside this magazine. It's not available on a blog. It's not being put on any .com. This is how magazines used to be. I consider it's very affordable. It's beautiful. It's luxurious. We have a print or digital edition, so you can choose. Link in the description if you are interested. And I just want to say, I trust that you learned something. I trust that, maybe I was able to put this into a different perspective for you. Because that's the goal. My name is Sot L, Seeker of Truth L, Speaker of Truth L. Please sign up for the email list. I trust you learned something. I hope you enjoy yourself. Take care of yourself. Make sure you say 10 things that you're thankful for before you go to sleep tonight and every night. It's very important. And I'll catch y'all tomorrow on Current Events. Peace, y'all.